You're watching a Highwire Media podcast.
Is it safe to say the movies are back? Admittedly, they never really left. But it seems in this decade, where every year throws up new challenges and hiccups in the industry, folks can become convinced the sky is falling and cinema's days are numbered. Still, here we are, back at the end of the year. And once again, there seems plenty to be thankful for, as new cinematic images burrow their way into the collective subconscious for years to come. And so, with that, I'm going to rank my top 10 movies of 2024. Of course, after I finish this list, go into the comment section below and give me your top 10 movies of 2024. And of course, this list is my list. It's not the right list. I personally don't believe it's the wrong list, but it's up for discussion. At number 10, we have Deadpool and Wolverine. In a year notably light on mega superhero movies, we've had Madam Web, The Crow, Venom: The Last Dance, Joker 2, Kraven the Hunter, Whoop-de-doo. The only Marvel Studios movie on the roster was the very funny, very meta Deadpool and Wolverine. Consider it a superhero movie palate cleanser. The plot, such that it sees Ryan Reynolds as Wade Wilson team up with a Wolverine variant still played by Hugh Jackman after things get timey-wimey. It's a little bit messy and inconsequential, but that's not really what this movie is for. Instead, it's a swan song for Marvel icons of the past, including stars of films that never were. It's a salute to Fox's checkered X-Men and lousy Fantastic Four record, but also Wesley Snipes' iconic Blade, Jennifer Gardner's time as Elektra, and even a redemption for Channing Tatum in a dream role that he didn't get to play. These are films and castings that have come and gone, and all of which seem displayed by the sale of Fox to Disney. So the narrative stakes aren't high on the one hand, and yet on the other, they are the highest. Beyond the lore and behind the scenes gossip, this is a celebration for the highs and lows of a genre that meant a lot to the folks who made them and the fans who watched them. And by the end, it suggests anything is possible in this brave new world at Marvel, with Deadpool and Wolverine ushering in the new era of panache thanks to its charismatic leads. Excuse me. And with that, we head on over to number 9, Heretic. I'll let you theorize on the whys, but 2024 was a very good year for religious horror. Apartment 7A, The First Omen, On Legs, Immaculate. Heck, we can even add Conclave if we expand to thrillers. All of these movies showed how people use the mystery of faith as a tool to abuse and control others. Heretic stands out among these, though, for the way its villain works to strip away the mystery, all while enforcing his own limited, dogmatic worldview. Even better, that villain is played by Hugh Grant, written and directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods, best known for co-creating A Quiet Place. Heretic stars Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East as Mormon missionaries invited into the home of a seemingly kind and interested Mr. Reed, who has a unique way of lecturing about religious history. Even in his 60s, Grant still knows how to use blinky eyes, floppy hair, and a disarming smile to charm viewers, all of which makes Mr. Reed a sinister foil for the less assured girls. So great is the back and forth between Grant, Thatcher, and East that Heretic becomes a lesser movie in its third act when the debate gives way to more traditional scares. The movie's look at the potential for faith, or things both wonderful and terrifying, makes it a great entry in a deeply skeptical movie year. Then we have number 8, Civil War. When Civil War released in mid-March, it immediately received backlash for what it wasn't. It wasn't an incisive look at the specific politics of our day or an indictment of an increasingly lawless right-wing faction. Now, months later, we can finally see Civil War for what it is, an impeccably crafted depiction of people who watch atrocities but cannot stop them. Writer-director Alex Garland has no interest in taking a side for the viewer. Instead, his film turns into moral gaze back on the watchers. Nonetheless, Civil War never feels like a moral lesson, thanks in part from the outstanding performances that ground it. Kirsten Dunst has never been better as Lee, a veteran photojournalist who tries so hard to be cynical, stands challenged by her unwilling mentorship of a younger photographer. Vulnerability that these performances find in their characters sets the stake for Garland's cold look at our ability to do nothing but watch as things fall apart. And I apologize for my dog right behind me. Number 7, Furiosa. How do you follow up the greatest action movie of all time? That was the question facing filmmaker George Miller when he returned to the Australian wasteland that launched his career. The answer? You do it by emphasizing the pathos sometimes hidden in the explosions of Mad Max Fury Road. Furiosa isn't just a prequel that fleshes out the lore of the previous movie's de facto hero, the Imperator Furiosa. Rather, it's an expansion of the pathos that has driven the franchise from the beginning, a reminder of the human beings who exist in the grotesque post-apocalypse. Anya Taylor-Joy finds new tools in her actor's kit as Furiosa, who gets taken from the Green Place as a child and put into the service of men. First, Dementus, played by Chris Hemsworth, with a false nose as outrageous as his accent. And then Immortan Joe. Her revenge plot is slow and methodical and not without its spectacular set pieces, including a war-rigged chase that rivals anything in Fury Road. But Furiosa distinguishes itself from other Mad Max films. The more sustained look at the dignity even the maddest wasteland Denzian retains, as demonstrated by the film's mythic heroine and her even more legendary ending for this story. And number 6, of course, probably one of the biggest movies of the year, Gladiator 2. Ridley Scott shows once again he's the old master with this epic piece of bravura cinema. It's none more in your face than when the conquered barbarians are battling rhinos, baboons, and totally historically accurate sharks in the arena for the amusement of twin emperors Geta and, apologies for butchering their name, Arasala. At the center of the movie is Paul Mescal's Lucius, son of the first movie's dead hero Maximus, and a daughter of the late great Marcus Aurelius. Bill is married to a respected military man general played by Pedro Pascal, by all accounts an honorable man who is pitted against Lucius in war. Lucius is hell-bent on revenge, and Denzel Washington's shady character promising him Cassius's head, and it all points to a tragic outcome that benefits no one. The film is spectacle on toast, bloody, sweaty, gory, and manly, and it's worth every minute in the cinema. And number 5, Blink Twice. One of the year's best might well have slipped under several people's radars. If that's you, get involved. This is the directorial debut of Zoe Kravitz, and it stars Naomi Ackie as hard-up waiting staff who swing an invite to the swankiest party on Earth on a private island owned by Channing Tatum's formerly disgraced tech billionaire. All as ever is not what it seems. This is a clever film with an excellent script by Kravitz, and although the film falls into the territory of horror thriller, it manages to stay funny and enjoyable due to the very believable friendship dynamic of the two leads. They talk like people, talk like real people, and the peril is so much more meaningful for that. Tatum is great too, along with his sickening entourage of hanger-ons. There's a very obvious parallel with a particular real-life monster in his influential social circle, making this current as well as nightmarish. And number 4, movie we previously mentioned, Conclave. There is no way director Edward Berger knew when he was adapting Robert Harris's Conclave, a story about a shocking and spectacularly twisty papal election of a new pope, that it would release during the most surreal American election in modern times. But perhaps director and screenwriter Peter Strock were simply attuned to the times in which they live. Is there a seemingly stuffy prestige drama about who gets to wear the biggest hat in the Catholic world? Secretly a propulsive political thriller which can act as a metaphor for any power struggle happening in the world today. A film that breaks down the tribal factions within a menagerie of cardinals along the lines of progressive and conservative, opportunistic, and oppressive. Conclave is a taut-mirror and gripping melodrama which witnesses Ralph Fiennes' best cinematic work since The Grand Budapest Hotel. He plays a priest who might be losing his faith, but the film has more earthly concerns on its mind, as Cardinal Dean Lawrence must ascertain the actual mechanics of the previous pontiff's last day on this mortal coil, as well as which his fellow patriarchs are Pius and Panetius. The film is an embarrassment of thespian riches, including Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow, but look most to what Isabella Rossellini's silent sister does eventually say, and how the film's late 2024 arrival has turned it into an unexpected grace note. Number 3, Hitman. Armie Hammer and others, every couple of years, Hollywood picks a new, blandly handsome white dude to christen as the it guy and starts putting him in movies despite the lack of any interest among the movie-going public. Though it would make sense that some viewers would dismiss Glenn Powell as the latest in this strange line of actors. How little they were paying attention. A Netflix release directed by Richard Linklater hardly seemed like the movie to change anyone's mind, but Hitman proves that Glenn Powell is, without a doubt, the real deal. It's not that his character, affable teacher Gary Johnson, disappears into the various hired murderer personas that he constructs as part of a sting operation to catch would-be killers for the New Orleans police. It's that he shows real, amazing comic chops, willing to downplay his incredible good looks for the sake of a laugh. Add on his steamy chemistry, and Hitman becomes not just the most convincing argument to bring back their R-rated rom-com, but proof of Powell's leading man potential. He's also a pretty damn good writer since he co-wrote the film with his fellow Texan pal Linklater. Of course, number 2, The Wild Robot. There are countless animated family movies about finding your tribe and fighting for it, but none quite as beautiful as DreamWorks' The Wild Robot, nor with quite such revolutionary subtext. From former Disney writer, character designer, and voice actor Chris Sanders, The Wild Robot combines dreamy landscapes with comedic characters and a no-punches-pulled look at nature fit in tooth and claw. The film tells the story Rosm Unit 7134, ROS for short, a cyber unit who washes up on the beach of a remote island populated by an ecosystem of animals who prey on each other mercilessly. Can these natural-born killers defy their programming to work together and survive the winter? Can Roz defy hers to raise an orphan goose chick to adulthood? Both a ripping adventure and a thoughtful modern parable about not letting division destroy community. It's not to be missed. And finally, before we get to number 1, let me know in the comment section below what you think number 1 will be. I'll give you a second or two to write your guesses. You finished? And with that, number 1, couldn't guess, is Dune Part 2. There have been more than a few truly great movies in 2024, but the only one which will probably live on like a legendary worthy remains triumphant completion of the Dune adaptation. Thrillingly grandiose in a manner of movie making they're not supposed to attempt anymore, Dune Part 2 harkens back to the sweep of David Lane and the biblical epics of yore, even as it coats such fancies with new all-encompassing shadow. Denis Villeneuve and his collaborators gently extract the cruel subtext which always hid there in Frank Herbert's text, turning the ascent of Paul, the boy hero who on the page inspired Luke Skywalker, into a tragedy of intergalactic scale. The cunning of the film is it highlights this as the intimacy of Paul's betrayals, be that of his great love, sister who is yet to be born, or that of his friends he has turned into fanatics, who will spread his holy word through the cosmos by way of the sword. The film captures this bitterly subversive epiphany and blockbuster drag by building an epic, more sure-footed than its 2021 predecessor. Dune Part 2 confidently floats between planets, cultures, and even color schemes, as the Harkonnen homeworld is realized in a silvery black and white that is at once hypnotic and strangely repellent. The film has the elegance and grandeur to convince the viewers the fate of billions rests on a knife fight between cousins, occurring in the glow of a blood-red sunset. Hollywood escapism has rarely been so foreboding. And with that, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Is there a film we should have included? Did we forget one? Let me know. And apologies for dogging him back. I just noticed he was back there. Of course, give us a thumbs up if you like our video. Hit that subscribe button down below. And of course, if you want to support the channel, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/cinemagold. As always, your support helps the channel grow, upgrade our equipment, bring new hosts, and help us take this show on the road. As always, thank you so much for watching and listening. We will see you next time. Take care.